Background on this video, it's a compilation of a lot of little projects that we did in the house. So last year was a big crazy year for us, and this is why I haven't shared videos in a while, because we ended up taking on a huge project ourselves, and that was building a pool house. And I will be sharing that video in the future because I did document that entire process, but that took a majority of a year last year. And then at the end of it, literally right when we were finishing, like I think we finished one weekend and the next weekend we found out I was pregnant. So then that took on a big chunk of the following year, and now I have a 2-month-old, but we've been in quarantine since March. And so I felt like it was time now to put together these videos that I had filmed. Some of them are over a year and a half ago, of me doing little things to the house, but at the time there were such small projects that I didn't have enough footage, and I didn't want to put out a video just for one project. So instead I put together all of these little projects, and basically this entire video is just to show how little projects that don't take up a lot of time, a lot of money, can really make a big difference in your house. That's what a lot of my videos are all about, is easy projects, budget friendly, things that even someone like me who works full time can do. And so it's not fun sometimes when you don't have a free weekend for a couple of weekends. Believe me, last year when we were building our pool house, I didn't have a free weekend for 6 or 7 months, and I was miserable, but I kept thinking, you know, sweat equity, sweat equity. We're here working full time, but these projects are things that if we can do, you can do. This first project that you are about to see is me frosting the window in the main entrance on top of our front door. And our house sits a little bit higher than the rest of the houses in the neighborhood, and we have a split home, which means when you come in, you can either go upstairs, downstairs, and so you can actually see inside when we're walking around the main level pretty clearly when it's dark outside. So if it's night outside and we have the lights on inside, you can see inside the house. And so when we realized that, we decided we wanted a little bit more privacy, especially if we're walking out in the middle of the night or whatever we may be doing, going to the kitchen to get water or something like that. We didn't want our neighbors to see us or people just driving by. So even though the windows in the main floor have curtains, we don't have a way to do that with this window on top of the door. So the way we fix that is by frosting that window. And so that's what this project is. It's me frosting that window. So you can see, we can see from the inside out, but you can actually see from the outside in at nighttime a lot clearly. And so I prepped my work area. I made sure I had plastic to put down on the ground. I had a ladder because it is up high, and I also made sure that I had a proper mask that would protect me from all of the spray and the chemicals that are in that spray, because it's a spray can, so it goes everywhere. So I did use this frosted glass spray can, that spray paint that I got from our local hardware store. We just kind of, I don't remember if I did research beforehand. I honestly don't think so. I think we just went and I asked somebody there, and that's what they suggested I did. So I did go ahead and look at the directions specifically for this spray paint. They're in the back of the can. I made sure, like I said, I had the proper mask because of the fumes and everything going everywhere. I didn't want to be inhaling that. So I did what the directions told me. I went up and down, made sure that everything was covered. I think I went back once I did that first coat. I went through from left to right, and then I went from right to left again to make sure that the entire glass was covered. And you will be able to see, you can see once this focuses a little bit better, you'll see that the first coat doesn't really do much. It does a little bit, but it doesn't do much. So you're going to need a few coats of this if you really want it to work like it's supposed to. So once I did the first coat, I went ahead and set my alarm for 10 minutes because that's what the spray can said in the directions. It said to wait 10 minutes between coats. Here I am just showing you kind of what it looks like after 5 minutes. You can see the color starts to build up, or at least the frosting of it starts to build up the more it dries. Again, it's not completely done, and so I did go ahead and went in with the second, third, and fourth coat. I don't quite remember if I did a fifth coat, but I definitely did at least 4 coats. So this is me just going in and doing all those coats. And this is what it looks like once it finished. So you can see the light still goes through the window, and that's what we wanted. We didn't want to lose the light in this main room. So you could still see the light still shines inside, but at night when we have the lights on and people are outside, they cannot see inside, and we did test that, and we're sure that people cannot see inside. So this is just the overall picture of what it looks like with that window frosted. It's not perfect, but it really did the job, and so I'm really happy with the results. The background now on this next project is we redid the grout in our kitchen. So in my kitchen makeover video, I show that we redid the floors. We actually ended up hiring someone to do that. That's not something we did ourselves. We went and bought the tile at what is it called? We got a new big store, Floor and Decor. We got one of those stores here that just opened up I don't know, a year or 2 years ago, and so they have really good deals, and that's where we bought the floor. Now, after we had the floor installed, we noticed that the grout, which was white at the time, we chose for it to be white. You'll see we changed our minds on that, but the grout started to crack and holes started to build up around the grout lines, and it looked like it always looked dirty because the holes looked dark and the grout is white and the tile is white, and so no matter how much I cleaned it, it just never looked clean and never looked good. And it was so, I honestly was embarrassed. Whenever we love entertaining, we love having people over, whenever people came over, I always warned them about the floor because I didn't want them to think that we thought that that was okay. It's not okay. But we left it like that for a while just because we had other projects, other things going on. But last year we worked on the pool house. Like I've mentioned before, I'll share a video on how we built that pool house ourselves. But my job was to tile the shower, and we used the same exact tile, but we found pre-mixed grout. And so I was able to grout it, and it was so easy that after we did that, we were like, you know what, why don't we do this with the floor in the kitchen? I got pregnant, had a baby, so while I was pregnant, I couldn't really do that because that would have been my type of project to do. So, and we had other projects, so we did take some time for us to finally get to it. But eventually my husband, right before my baby shower, he had a burst of like he's always working on projects. He cannot sit still, so he's always working on projects. But right before my baby shower, and probably because the baby was coming, he just decided to get all of these little things done that we had been waiting on, and one of those things was the grout. And so his job was to, using this tool, we did research, and this was the tool that we found was the simplest and honestly got the work done. His job was to take off the grout. He didn't want me dealing with the grout and the powder that would come off of it because I was pregnant, like I said. So his job was to take it off, and then my job was to grout it because I didn't have to do anything except clean, grout. I enjoyed grouting, so I didn't mind it. But because I was 7 months pregnant, I took a lot of breaks. It did take me 2 days. This a normal person would probably take them a day because it's not a huge room. It's a big kitchen, but not huge. So I did go ahead and watch videos on how to use this grout. There's a lot of videos, a lot of helpful videos. General rule is you clean the tile with just water and a sponge, you grout like you're supposed to, and then you clean again because you don't want to deal with the grout drying and then trying to clean it afterwards. It's a lot harder. I mean, even now, I'm 2 months postpartum and I still, like a couple of weeks ago, finished cleaning the grout. I was like taking a razor blade and cleaning some of the leftover grout that was dry. So this is just me just kind of putting it out there for anybody looking to do tile work. There is pre-mixed grout and it works amazing. We did end up going with a gray grout instead of white just because we realized it's a lot easier to keep clean, and it just looked a lot, it popped more, it made the tile pop more in the kitchen. So here I'm just showing you the before and after. All those holes in the grout, you can see that's what it looked like. And so this was me after I finished grouting. Okay, and this next project is what we call the ice cube wall. So when we moved in, we walk up and this is what we see, an ice cube wall. That's what we call it, ice cube wall, because it looks like ice cubes. We don't know why anyone liked this, because we've seen older listings of our house and we've seen pictures of those listings, and that this wall didn't used to exist. Someone somewhere along the ownership of this house, which this house is from the 90s, so it's not even from the 70s or something, a time that you can say, oh, this was popular back then. At least I don't think it was popular in the 90s. I don't know, maybe it was, but somewhere along the lines an owner thought this would be really cool to put up. Maybe in a mid-century modern house it would work. Not in our house, not in this area either. So we really wanted to take this wall off. You're gonna see my husband try different tools. The best way that it worked for him was to tape it all up so that when he hit the individual cubes, they were gonna break. We knew that, but we didn't want him to go everywhere. We put down some tarp just to be safe, because we did cleaning afterwards. We cleaned and vacuumed very thoroughly, but we still had the tarp just to save us some of the mess. And so getting rid of that ice cube wall made a huge difference. Actually, you can kind of see it here in the video, right there where that table is, that blue table. That's where the wall was. And we actually have that table because, I don't know if you can see, but there's like a strip of wood right there. We didn't want people to trip on it. We didn't take that part off because since we had carpet and then there's the dining room floor, there was gonna be bare flooring there that wasn't gonna match either, and we didn't want there to be like mismatched floor because we knew we were gonna redo the flooring in here. We don't like this carpet, obviously. I'll actually get to that in a minute. We didn't want to take that off because there was going to be nothing there. so we knew we would take that off once we did the flooring in here. So we left that but put the table there so that nobody would trip on it. This next project, actually you can see it right behind me, was the chimney. The chimney is it's probably the biggest focal point of this main room up here, and we've had mixed reviews. Like, some people come in and they love it, but for my husband and I, this isn't our style. Like, as you can see, we're really into the whites and grays and more solids. I don't know, it's not minimalistic, but it's a lot more simple, and neither of us liked the chimney. If we had our dream chimney, it would honestly be a marble chimney, but that's expensive. That's down the line. Maybe 10 years from now, if we're still in this house, if we're in a financial situation where we can do it, we'll put marble there. But for now, we wanted a simple and quick and budget-friendly fix. The best way to do that was paint. Again, this was another thing that when you look at the listings, the older listings in our homes, which if you don't know how to do that, a lot of the newer homes, our house is from the 90s and we can still see some of the listings just because it's sold a few times. But if you go to realtor.com, I think it shows you the history of the listings, and there you can see older listings and the pictures that were used for those listings. We went to our local hardware store, talked to the paint person in the paint section, and just found out which one would be the best paint for stone, and that's the paint that we went with. And then we just picked out the color. I think it's a bare gray color that we ended up liking and going with. I was pregnant at the time, so this was not actually a project I did, so I didn't film it in the process because I didn't do it personally. My husband didn't do it. Actually, my best friend who lives with us and loves to paint, it worked out great because she loves to paint, and so she ended up doing that. And she works full-time, and so it did take her a few weeks because on the weekends she would do it. After work here and there, she would be able to do it. And it is a little bit tedious because it is stone, so you have to go in, paint, and then she would go in with a smaller brush, almost like a paintbrush, like a paintbrush for people who paint, and would go in the little slots in between the stones to paint the colors. So it is very tedious, but this is one of those projects that we absolutely are in love with. We wish we would have done it when we first moved in, because it just, like, honestly, that changed this entire house on its own. But we went ahead a little bit further because this was another project that actually this project was getting done at the same time that the grout in the kitchen was getting done. With that, my husband and I decided it was time to change out the lighting in these 3 rooms. So here we have, that's kind of where we have like a living area. I guess it's where people would probably have a formal living area, but we still hang out there. Our TV room is downstairs instead. But then we have the living room area, and then we have where I'm at, which is this is more, eventually we're gonna make this into an office, but right now it's like the baby's nursery, because it's just off of our room, and so I wanted her to be close. And who knows if the nursery will stay here. I actually will share another video of how I made this in from it was a living room. This is where we had the living room at one point, then it was my office, then it was nothing, then it was the nursery, and now it's actually something different. Still nurseries, half nursery, half something else. So I will be sharing a video on that, because right now with the baby, life changes minute by minute, day by day, and so does our house. Because it was right before my baby shower, and like I said, we were having family over, my mom, my sister, everybody was coming for the baby shower, and this was right before quarantine and right before everything that's going on hit our state. It did hit us a little bit later, so thank God we were able to get the baby shower and have family visit before, because we haven't had family since, so it kind of sucks. But at least we were able to have the baby shower. But we wanted it to look nice because we were gonna have the baby shower inside, because it was during a cold month. It was in February. It was I think we knew there was a chance of rain, so we knew we were gonna have to set up in here. So we wanted it to look nice, and so my husband decided it was time to change the light fixtures, which I was super happy about because I think I've mentioned it before, light fixtures can really make a huge difference. Just like this made a huge difference, changing out the light fixtures did too. See here, we changed out the light fixture in the dining room, the light fixture in this main room, which I guess I'll call the living room, and then the light fixture in the nursery. The other one that we changed out was the one in the main entrance. And so you can see what they look like before. Some people might like that. I know people have told us in the past, because we always talk about the projects that we have in mind. People would tell us in the past that, you know, your lights are nice, like what are you talking about? And again, we know this is something that at one point one of the owners decided this is gonna look nice, but it's not our style. That's the thing. We moved into this house knowing that we were gonna have to change things out. Now with that said, I thought that was going to be the end of this video, and then this week my husband decided, you know what, we've been talking about changing the floor in this main room, this main floor, forever, and I think it's time to do it. And so like I said, he can't sit still. He's always working on a new project, and so I'm not going to stop him because it makes the house look nicer. And I'm about to go. My maternity leave is about to end, and he's about to start his paternity leave, so he wanted to get it done before he had his leave so that he wouldn't have to worry about taking care of the baby and having to do that. Initially we had thought we were gonna put new carpet in here, so you can see the carpet kind of in the background, and I'll show a close-up. The carpet, whoever installed it did a crappy job, and this is one of those things where we know the owners put in before they put it on the market. Realtor actually told us that the carpet was new. Somehow the last owners thought that this carpet would drive up value, maybe, I don't know, but it's the cheapest, ugliest carpet they could have put in. And so we've hated it from day one, and we knew we were going to change it out from day one. So we were looking at carpet, got a quote, decided against it. So at the end of the day, we finally decided we're just gonna put the same flooring we put downstairs, which is the same flooring that we put in the pool house. Again, I'll share a video on the pool house. Downstairs, it was the same carpet all over, but we did have to change it because when I was in my first trimester, our Doberman, who's really old, got really sick and went through a hard time. I won't get into the details because it was pretty gross, but it smelled. And even though we have a carpet cleaner and we would clean it every time, we tried everything, I had a super smell at that time, and I just wouldn't do it anymore because I could not take the smell. And so my husband decided, you know what, let's rip off the carpet and install floor. And it's the flooring is the same exact flooring that we're going to be putting up here. We already placed the order and we're going to go pick it up today. We were able to order it from Floor and Decor online, and then we'll go there and they'll put it in our car so we don't have to go in. I haven't been out in public since March, aside from doctor's appointments and things like that, so I'm not used to being out. And because we have a newborn, we are just trying to have as little contact as possible with the outside world. And so thankfully we're able to do that. We're gonna get the flooring, and my husband's gonna work on this over the next 2 weekends, and he thinks he can finish it before I go back to work and he starts his paternity leave. So hopefully I think I'll be able to insert a clip. If you're watching this, then that means the floor is done. And see, already my husband got ahead of himself and he gets excited with projects. He already started cutting the carpet. That's why you see that line right there, and it's a mess. And so it's already gonna get started. The installation process, I am not going to film that just because I filmed that for our pool house. So I will be putting that video together. It's just that one's longer because it was 6-7 months worth of footage. So it's pretty easy. The hardest part is the cuts, and other than that, it's something that he was able to do on his own. I helped him with a few things, but it's really easy flooring, and it's very budget friendly for flooring too. We have always wanted hardwood floor, but hardwood floor is super expensive, so this floor we fell in love with at a good price at Floor and Decor, like I said, and now we'll be able to have it up here. These rails are not going to be the rails that we're going to keep forever. Eventually we're just going to tear those up and put in completely new rails, but for now, just because we're spending money on this other project, we're just going to paint them white, because again, those are brown. I think that might be the last brown thing we have in this house. I think it's the last thing that has to go. So I think it's the last thing that's that brown, wooden brown color. And once we paint that, I think that'll be it.